Abe, it is Wednesday, September 9th, 2015. Procuring hot sauce turns out to be harder than originally anticipated, so that part of the punishment is going to have to wait. However, I do have a terrible thing that I wrote in middle school, and also a peanut butter-based candy bar. Here is the moment of truth. It's crunchy. It tastes like peanut butter. Yeah, that's unpleasant. I'm doing it for you. Do you feel loved? Do you, Abe? Okay, Riding Hood. She was walking through the woods at dusk in the rain. She wasn't afraid at all. The woods were so beautiful. Everything glistened and smelled of sweet earth. She pulled her red cloak tighter around her against the wind. The almost empty basket dangled at her side. She turned up her face and closed her eyes, letting the raindrops slide down her countenance. Then she heard the voice. It was deep and gravelly, like that of a lifelong smoker, except she knew the possessor of the voice had never smoked in his life. "Hey, little girl," the voice said. "I'm not a little girl," she half said, half sang. "I'm 15. A tall, lean, gray wolf emerged from the underbrush on his hind legs. He fell into step beside her. 15 already? He asked. As of last Wednesday, she told him. How's your grandma? She's fine. She says hi and says if you need a warm place for the winter, you're welcome to stay. She's a nice lady, your grandma. You're getting to be just like her. And you're getting to be a pretty little thing." He tapped her gently on the nose with one claw. "Any village boys interested?" She rolled her eyes. "If there are, I'm not interested in them. The village boys are imbeciles. Next year, though," her face lit up with excitement, "I'm spending the year in the city." This is nasty. I don't understand why people like peanut butter. And this, it makes my mouth feel goopy. "Why?" he asked. "I thought you liked it here. I thought you liked visiting your grandmother. I know you like the woods, and I thought..." Here, he looked uncomfortable. "I kind of thought you liked me." "Of course I like you, Wolfie. But if I'm ever going to become a guild-certified candle maker, I need to take the class and test at the institute. And to do that, I've got to go to the city. When I come back, Drizelma is going to retire, and I'm going to run her shop." "You're growing up fast," he said. "I remember when you were just this tall." He gestured to somewhere around her waist. "You stopped to pick flowers for your grandma." He chuckled. "Hey," she said indignantly. "I was 7, and you were persuasive. And ridiculous," she added, as an afterthought. He grinned, showing all his teeth. "I seem to remember you being almost 8, he teased. She did not dignify his comment with a response. "When are you leaving?" he asked. "Next week." "Whoa! Why am I only just now hearing about this? I didn't want to tell you until it was for sure." "So this is the last time I'll see you for a year." "I guess so. I'll miss you, Red." "I'll miss you too, Wolfie." They walked for a while in silence. Then he tried to change the subject to something more cheerful. "Did you save any cookies for me?" he asked. "Of course!" She removed the cookie from her basket. "Chocolate chip, your favorite. I'm only like halfway through the bar." "Thanks," he said, and then asked, "Do you want half?" She was surprised. Food was always scarce in the woods, and he usually bolted down everything she gave him. If he was really willing to share, he must really be going to miss her. "Okay," she said, quietly. They split the cookie and were quiet for a while. Then she said, "It stopped raining." "It did," he agreed. They had almost reached the edge of the woods. "Well, I guess this is goodbye, then." "Goodbye, Wolfie," she said, and then did something that in 7 years she had never done. She hugged him. He stood stiff for a moment, surprised. Then he hugged her back. But it was with an aching heart that he did so, because he could tell by the way she hugged him that she saw him as an older brother or a favorite uncle. She could tell he didn't love him by the way he loved her. Jesus Christ, Zoe! He remembered when he had fallen in love with her. That big miscommunication with her grandma had scared her out of her wits, and yet 2 weeks later she had re-entered the woods on her way to her grandma's house. "Hey, little girl," he'd called out to her. She told him in no uncertain terms that she was not a little girl, and that she was almost 8. That was when he fell in love with her. Jesus Christ! Oh, well, the next line is, "Well, not really. But still!" But that was when it had began. This long and twisted road to the heartbreak he always knew was inevitable, and yet startled him now when it finally arrived. In spite of everything, he knew he had to say it. How could he not? Next time he saw her, she'd be a different person. Come to think of it, so would he. So he had to say it. "I love you, Red," he whispered. She let go of him and looked up at his face. "Oh, Wolfie," she said, "I love you too." And as she turned and ran back to the village, what little had been left whole in his heart splintered into 1,000 pieces. She would never understand what he meant. She would never see him that way. As the rain began again, he turned and walked slowly back to his den. "I don't want to eat it, Abe. I don't want to eat it."
Agony, beyond power of speed.
Abe, I'll see you on Saturday.